Oklahoma City Raw, ladies and gentlemen. What do we got here? We got a Raw that gives you one word, and The Miz says it best. Really? That's what I take away from this show. This is a really type of show. Not a really great show or a really crappy show, but really type of show. So I'll give you my feelings about this. Now, these are two matches I'm combining because I really don't care. And it kind of goes with the theme of this. I'm talking about Primetime Players versus Real Americans and Kofi and Miz versus Ryback and Curtis Axel. I'm going to do the first one first. Primetime Players. This would have been good. Seeing Titus O'Neil, and I didn't get a chance to see this SmackDown. I'm going to see it later. Seeing him throw up after a turkey eating contest in a match with Real Americans was not expected. They were kind of surprised about it. They kind of went with it from what I can tell. But when you see this match, this rematch, what do you get? The anticipation of him possibly throwing up 7 days later? Dude, it just didn't work for me. It just didn't. I just didn't feel it from that. If he had won, or if beforehand, maybe he was acting like he needed to throw up beforehand, maybe that might have been interesting. But in this, I didn't get anything, so I'm moving on from that. When it comes to The Miz and Kofi, I really expected The Miz to turn heel already, and it hasn't happened. So unless they're trying to continue the stupid rivalry between the two, I just don't see anything good for them. Now when it comes to Ryback and Curtis Axel, they have nothing else left for them to do. So they have to go and become a tag team. They may succeed, they may fail, but in the end, this is all they got for these guys. Now they won the match, but when you see this, they kind of got buried because the only thing they care about was trying to make a more of a rivalry between Kofi and Miz. And I've seen their rivalries before. The Miz turned face because of it, so I really haven't cared for it. So I'm moving on. Now the next two I'm going to combine. The 6 Diva Tag and ADR versus Sin Cara. Really? That's the one I'm doing second. The 6 Diva Tag. The only thing I got from that was everyone wanted to call AJ a crazy chick. I mean, Summer Rae somewhat was spotlighted. Tamina was somewhat spotlighted. The person who won this is Natalya, who should have won the title months ago. So I don't see anything interesting here. Making it simple. Total Divas versus Divas. Should have been the entire theme of it. Each diva getting their own chance. Didn't get it. It's been Total Divas versus AJ with the other divas in tow because they've been forced to. That sucks. And that's the reason why it hasn't gotten over totally. Now I move on to the match where I say, really? Really? What the fuck? Sin Cara versus ADR. They're going to have a rivalry. ADR loses to Sin Cara. What the fuck? It's making me slobber. Why? Because I don't fucking believe it. It's been a year and maybe a year and a half since I've seen a Sin Cara win on Raw. I say year to year and a half, somewhere in there. I still hate the lighting. They should have stopped it a long time ago. He botches still too much in the ring. He can't do his own finisher. He just looks sloppy. But they let him have a signature win over an ADR who was a world champion, who faced John Cena, who faced Randy Orton, who faced The Big Show. And he loses by a swanton off the top turnbuckle by a Sin Cara. Are you serious? Either he fucked someone over and made them mad at him, or they're trying to do this. This is what I think. They're trying to raise Sin Cara up now. And they're going to use ADR to do it. Either that, or Rey Mysterio is going to come in and help Sin Cara again to help against ADR, and then they'll have a rivalry. Do I believe that's going to be good? No. I don't want to see Sin Cara. He had his shot and he blew it. One strike in the wellness program. Blows out his patella tendon. I'm done with it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Los Matadores. Arriba! Had to do it. I don't speak no Spanish, so I'm just imitating. But when you get to it, seeing them selling on WWE.com with El Tortillas, I believe his name is, was funny. I liked it. It's good to see the stars doing this. Well, the wrestlers doing this. I enjoy it. I'm not bored with it right now. So I hope they continue doing this with those who have the most charismatic attitude to get it over. Now, the match that really gave me a joy. Well, hopefully an inkling of a joy. Really. R-Truth with Xavier Woods versus Tons of Funk. Because Xavier Woods danced better than Tons of Funk. And I'm talking about Brodus Clay. He was scared he was losing his woman. He was scared he was about to lose his music. And then he shoves Xavier Woods. And for what I understand, he splattered his ass on SmackDown. Like I said, I'm going to be watching it later. When you see this match, and you see a Brodus Clay, not the Funkasaurus, takes you back to NXT, and you see Brodus Clay, the one that should have been brought on in 2010, but we got the Funkasaurus. This was kind of a taste of that. In the end, Xavier Woods wins. Of course, he has to. He's just been brought in with R-Truth. And teaming him with R-Truth is the right thing for the moment to do. But you see the Funkasaurus shoving around Sweet Tea, and he's looking at, well, what? That makes me hope and pray to the WWE gods, God, Triple H, imitating the wonderful, the great Sleg Daddy. Please, turn Brodus Clay heel, convince Tensai to turn heel, have a monstrous tag team there. Even if they don't get very far, makes no difference, they need to change. And this means my Naomi and my Cameron. I still love Cameron, especially knowing that she can be an evil bitch. She can be. It would go with them. We need new divas with new blood being new heels. This will give the Divas division something new. 2 new evil divas on Total Divas that will split Total Divas up. It don't make sense. See it for this, ladies and gentlemen. It will actually make some sense. Now, I'm moving on to the Eric versus... how can I describe this? Eric from the Wyatt family versus Daniel Bryan. A setup for Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan eventually, I think, at Royal Rumble. When you see Bray Wyatt's segment, and Daniel Bryan won his match, but that wasn't the point. When you see his segment, it was very good. I'll put it to you like this. I really believe CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, they don't have anything for them to do. They really don't. But they're going to give them something that will reasonably be interesting for the crowd. When you look at Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt, I honestly think it could be interesting. Since Bray Wyatt is trying to convince Daniel Bryan to turn evil, it could be compelling TV. So I have no problem with that. And then seeing Kane, and I got something to say. I got to write this down. I got something to say about Kane later. But if you get what I'm saying, something got to be said about Kane. But I'm telling you this. Seeing that was compelling. But when it comes to CM Punk and the Shield, I'm not getting that. Of course, we still don't know who the Shield reports to. Even though I do believe it is Stephanie McMahon. I still believe that it's a McMahon that's pulling the strings. I still don't believe it's Vince. I believe it's Stephanie. Now, if you want to know about that, look at my playlist and look at what I said about John Cena and Stephanie McMahon. I still believe that she's pulling the strings. But when you look at this, I really believe that this isn't a good match for CM Punk. I mean, it could still be good at Survivor Series. Not Survivor Series. We just passed. I'm sorry. TLC. We could still get a good match at TLC. 3-on-1. Just like Daniel Bryan. But I'm just not getting it from that. I mean, CM Punk is doing good promos. He did a good promo segment with Renee Young. But I'm just not getting it. I'm just not feeling it from them. So I'm going to move on to the 6-man tag. The Shield versus the Rhodes Brother and Big Show. This was only about making sure the Shield was dominant. So even though it was a good match, I just didn't really see it any other way than that. But like I said, the Shield could be dominant for the next 2 weeks, but I just don't see it good for CM Punk. I just don't. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but that's just me. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about was Fandango against Mark Henry. I'm an evil bastard because I shaved my head off. I mean my hair off. Not my head. He didn't shave his head off. He shaved his hair off, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder how the hell can you make Mark Henry meaner? Shave off his hair and make him come back as a heel. Now, we don't get that. We get a face from Mark Henry. But eventually we could get a heel from Mark Henry. And that will make him so evil looking. It's terrifying. I love it. But I believe this match with Fandango was too long. Even though he's pandering to the crowd in Oklahoma, baby. And he was dancing for Summer Rae. Yeah, baby, he's dancing for Summer Rae. Oh, I can't really do that with this hip. Damn it, that hurts. But you get my point. It was nice to see him dancing for Summer Rae, showing that he's still sexual chocolate. But really, it could have been a shorter match. I expect Mark Henry to be dominant. I don't expect him to take time for someone who's that small. Unless they're trying to set this up as a feud between the two, and that he's going to continue hitting on Summer Rae. Then I can see that they got to have something for him to do temporarily until the unification happens. So, this kind of leads me into the final thing I want to talk about, I believe. Am I forgetting anything here? No, I'm not forgetting that. I'm not forgetting that. I'm not forgetting Dolph. This kind of leads into the final thing I want to talk about. The contract signing for the unification match at TLC. Now, we got the chance to see the Maddox in the middle of the night, which was good. Scared shitless next to a Randy Orton. He's supposed to be scared because he's part of the Breakfast Club. He must still be careful and pay his dues. Now, when you see this contract signing, Stephanie sounded good. Triple H sounded good. Randy Orton, as limited as he is in his monotone voice, sounded okay. But the person who, I'm not going to lie, shined better than all of them was John Cena. I'm not a big Cena fan. I've said this before. I'm not. But when you see how he spoke to Randy Orton, which it was part shoot. We all know Randy Orton was a bastard years ago. And supposing he turned a corner after the second wellness program suspension. He did. He more plays by the rules now. He understands he's got to be cleaner because he'll lose his job and the thing he loves to do the most. So this wasn't too much off the cuff. It was truthful. So when you see this, John Cena did a good job. He actually did. But this is my question. Will unification work for the WWE? Now, we saw the fight afterward. We saw John Cena dominant. Just like Randy Orton was dominant last week, John Cena had to be dominant. He was too dominant in my perspective. It shouldn't have been so dominant on his point of view during the last few minutes of the show. It was a little too much for me because it makes it so clear that he could win the match. But when you see this, it's not about John Cena looking dominant or Randy Orton looking dominant. This is about, is unification the right time for the WWE right now? Now, let's be honest here, ladies and gentlemen, and I got to say this honestly. When you look at the card, and what I mean by the card, it's the structure of the promotion. You have the main eventers. You have the upper card. That means they got a lot of people who are main eventers but do not go for the titles. Then you have the mid card, where they have the IC championship. This is where they go to the undercard, which is the US championship. And when it comes to the upper card, that's where the world title would be. So you got the WWE title for the main event. The upper card has the world title. The mid card has the IC title, which actually it's more of an undercard title now. And then the US title, which is supposedly officially the undercard title. Here's the problem. The mid card and undercard are blurred. This is where the problem is. You're about to eliminate your upper card belt. That's actually acting as a mid-card belt. This is how I feel about it. Because it's a mid-card belt, and you have two undercard belts that's mostly shared between two shows. What happens when you remove the mid-card belt, which is the world title? You're stuck with 2 undercard belts, and then you're going to have to push one of those undercard belts, which is the original IC Championship, which was the original mid-card belt for the WWE/WWF. And the problem you have with the mid-card is that it's blurred. There is no mid-card. You have an undercard and mid-card that's mixed together. And you can't tell who's who, particularly that on both SmackDown and Raw. You don't see it mostly defended. You can't see it mostly defended on Saturday Morning Slam, on Wednesday Night Main Event, on Superstars, maybe even on NXT. You can't do that. To make it work, you got to do it on both your A and B shows. It can't be the C, D, E, F, G, which is on YouTube. You can't do it. You can't do it on the WWE app, ladies and gentlemen. And this is where it goes wrong. Unless they straighten out the mid-card and make a definitive mid-card with the IC Championship and a definitive undercard with the US Championship, where they show only people going for the undercard belt, only people going for the mid-card belt, and then only people going for the unified title or the world or WWE unified title, it's not going to work. This is going to be a big mess, and eventually they'll have to go back to square one and bring back the world and WWE title. My guess is this is an experiment to see if it can even be done, because they can easily go back to the way it was before, because that's what they did back in 2002, 3, and 4. They had the world and WWE title combined into the unified championship. I think it was only 2 years. I'm sorry. Was it 2 years or 1 year? I can't really remember. I think it was 1 or 2 years. And they kept the belts together, and then they broke them back apart. That's when each one went to their own separate brand. But if they're trying to eliminate one brand, well, if they eliminate SmackDown, this would work perfectly. But if SmackDown's still there, this is not going to work, because it's just not going to be enough people to cover for everything. It's just not. So the last thing I want to talk about is Kane. Dude looks terrifying as a suit. It was strange to see Kane in a suit, and then seeing him talk now, stranger to see him talk so eloquently. Really? I loved it. I thought I wouldn't like him as a suit, but hearing how he talks and seeing that the evil side is still there but under control, and that the evil side will come out in a very eloquent voice and a smooth talker, makes him even more potent as a performer. I can't wait to see more Kane. I want to see what they're going to make him do next. How is he going to talk? Hell, let him become the general manager of SmackDown and Raw, and we will get something interesting. So how do I rate this show? Really? I'll give this a B- rating, because a lot of stupid stuff was done. But I like a lot of other stuff. Brodus Clay could now be turned heel. Turn him heel! So that's what I hope. And I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. And I will be getting a debate of the week out. I think I may talk a little bit more about the unification, even though I pretty much said what needs to be said. It's going to depend on who's going to get the title next after John Cena. I think I'll be doing that next. See